Mzansi. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of Game On, where we promise to keep you entertained and well informed. On this week's show, we will later on in the day, and I implore you to stay with us until this, be having the COSAFA executive Sude Toms joining us to discuss the year ahead for a successful region here in the southern tip of the continent. We'll also have the legends, of course, in Jerry Skasana talking all things DStv Premiership, including the Nedbank Cup. But to start things off, of course, we've got Shane Mcgregor here to discuss what's happening out in England, including Germany, and its exciting times in the league race out in England. Arsenal with an important 2-1 win that sees them now leapfrog the others to top spot, with Liverpool and City having played to a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, very important win for Arsenal. You know, they came up against a Brentford team that fought, but Arsenal were just too good on the day. You know, they won 2-1. They didn't score 5 or 6 goals like they used to.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, as long as you win. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be pretty anymore. The pressure's on. You just got to get those results and keep on grinding them out. Top of the log. As we saw a certain person shouting off the rooftops about them, you know. Anyway, let's not go there. But they're top of the log, and they just got to keep on grinding. They've learned from last season, and that's the big thing here. They learned what happened last season, where they were there and then fell away. They're not going to happen again this year.
Talking about the difference from seasons past, goals for Arsenal, they're sitting at 70. Goals against, they're sitting at 24, better than both City and Liverpool. Yeah. So they're doing well from an attacking and defensive point of view. That's huge.
Yeah, but it is big, you know. He's got everything going right, you know. And for me, the one person that's done a lot for that, and for that to be where it is Rice, Declan Rice.
Yeah.
You know, when they spent that amount of money, I thought, is he worth it? He definitely is worth it. He's been the difference between defence, he's helping out, and attack. So he's been the cog there that's kept them going. Without Partey, who's been injured, I rate him as a player. So he's been that man that's done that job, and what a job he's done. They're going to go very close. I said to you a while ago already, there's only 3 teams in it. It's those 3.
Speaking about doing a job, Liverpool, with all their injury worries over the last few months, have stayed in the race. And I was very impressed with their ability to still get a point out of the City game. I thought City might just pip them going into this game.
Well, I was quite surprised. You know, I watched the game, and for the first 10, 15 minutes, Liverpool were nowhere. Man City were all over them. I thought, this is going to be that day where they're going to get a hiding.
Yeah.
Fought back, and they did well. Eventually, making Guardiola take off his best player, De Bruyne.
Yeah.
And look, his reaction wasn't the greatest, but if you're a player of his ability, you wouldn't want to be taken off. But it just shows you where Liverpool were, that he took him off and put on a more defence-minded player. To take off your best player, it takes courage to do that.
Yeah.
Liverpool really did well. The draw at the end of the day, they could have got a few more goals. You know, Man City could have got a goal as well. So at the end of the day, a draw is a good result for both teams.
Have to touch on the top 4 race here. Aston Villa and Tottenham. Villa hosting Tottenham 4-0 in favour of Tottenham now. The race between them for that top 4 spot is down to just 2 points. Tottenham are closing that gap and applying pressure.
Exactly, and that's becomes more difficult. You know, Villa have been going through a bad patch at the moment, and Spurs, you know, when they're on song, excuse the pun, they really are doing well. So that battle will go down to the wire as well for that 4th spot.
Now, let's look ahead at the matches coming up this weekend. Of course, 6 matches have been postponed due to cup ties, but an important fixture, West Ham up against Aston Villa. Again, we've spoken about Villa, the race for top 4. They've done so well to be in the running at this stage of the season, but it won't be easy away to West Ham.
Won't be easy. Both teams have struggled of late, and that's the big thing, you know, and it's a battle of the clarets. They both wear the same coloured kits. But for me, I think Villa will get the job done. Yeah, I just feel that West Ham have fallen by the wayside. I don't know what's going wrong there. They seem to be not clicking at the moment. For me, I think Villa will get the job done for me.
Now, derby time. Fulham at home to Tottenham, and we know what's at stake for Tottenham, same as Aston Villa. So it's a huge game, that as well.
But for Fulham, you know, they're up and down. You can't predict them just because of where they are. Spurs will be upbeat after their victory last week. I think Spurs victory again.
Now, let's talk about the bottom of the table. Burnley up against Brentford at Turf Moor.
6-pointer.
This
really is a 6-pointer note. When you look at the head-to-heads of these 2 teams, it's very even. So it's a very difficult one to call. For me, if Burnley want to survive, they've got to win this game. It's as simple as that. And I know there's still 10 games to go. They've got to get the 3 points. If they don't, they're going to be in big trouble.
Now, Luton, they're at home to Nottingham Forest. Luton themselves aren't necessarily in a safe spot, while Nottingham Forest are 17th spot on the log. So both these sides are in need of points.
Again, 6-pointer. You know, again, a huge 6-pointer. Once again, same thing for Luton. If they want to survive, they've got to win. Forest were going well, then all of a sudden they've hit a brick wall, and I'm not too sure what's going on there. I think a draw's written all over the cards on this one.
Now, with the likes of Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United, you can include Nottingham Forest and Everton in that race as well at the bottom. How crucial is it now, and which of these sides do you see possibly picking up the necessary runs in the way of points and wins to get out of trouble? Everton possibly?
Everton, got the most chance, I think, because they got the quality players. You must remember they were docked those points, so it's made it harder for them. I think Everton will be safe. I think it'll be out of those bottom four. I still just feel that Forest have got a decent team. They could survive it in the end of the day.
I have to ask you about Everton and those docking of points. Many may not understand the reason behind when a league looks into your financial matters and then comes up and says, look, your books aren't looking right, we're going to dock points. Explain the importance of that in a league such as this to keep it from getting into disrepute.
Well, you know, I'm also very confused about it because the bigger clubs are spending a lot more money and they're not into the trouble. You know, I know there's been investigations into Man City, into clubs. So for me, I really don't understand it. They had to make I think they had to make a precedent about one club, and they did it with Everton. I think at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to go all the way because they're still appealing that. So we're waiting to see what happens. But it should be fair for everyone. If you're going to be putting those rules in place, it should be fair across the board for every club.
Now, two clubs we have to talk about here. One which was in the same or similar position as Aston Villa last year, find themselves in the midway point of the table now, along with Chelsea. That's Newcastle United. Yes, we've talked about the injuries they've had throughout the season. What do you make of their season? And do you think Eddie's in the spot of bother here, in pressure come the end of the season?
You're always under pressure in coaches, especially in this league. You know, if you're not up there and fighting, where you must remember they punched above their weight last season. They weren't expected to be where they were. They got there, and now all of a sudden your expectations to be there again is always pressure on you. I think he's under pressure. I do think they'll understand that he's had so many injuries. They're starting slowly but surely to get their players back, and you can see the difference in results. You know, you can see the way they're playing. Though they're still not firing on all cylinders. So the pressure's always on him. You know, especially they've got a lot of money to spend and he hasn't spent the money. So I think he'll go into the market for next season and bring new players in.
So, interesting times out in England, whether it's the top of the table, the bottom of the table, or even sides in the middle of the table here. And it's interesting to see how things will pan out going into the end of the season. Thank you so much to Shane Mcgregor for joining us. Time now to, switch focus, bring on the legs of thunder, and discuss all things that have been happening locally, especially after a week where the derby served up 5 goals and, excitement and thrills out in the Soweto derby last week.